I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and in this episode, I want to give you a simple piece of advice, but a piece of advice that not a lot of people seem to adhere to, which is quite surprising to me. And that is when someone offers you up their time, and especially when you're the one requesting it, take them up on it when they're offering it, right? It sounds strange and like a no-duh thing, but I'll expand upon this and just give you the observations that I'm seeing and why I'm giving you this advice. But before I fully get into all of that, allow me to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. That way you get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly does mean a lot to me, as I hope it does to you. So, let's get into this. I've seen a lot of times people request, for someone to read over their, let's say, script, or look over their reel, or whatever it may be, right? Just asking for a favor, essentially. And the person will be like, okay, send it to me. And, I'm a bit, and the thing is, it inevitably takes too long for the person asking for the favor to send it to that person. And now you're asking essentially two things: for them to work on your time and do you the original favor. Because if they've already agreed to that favor, then you've won. Now just follow through in the correct way. I know for me, something that often happens is, for my very select friends, I'll, every now and then offer up, hey, I will, okay, yeah, sure, you need your reel edited, I'll work on it, but here's the time that I have available to me, so let's do it then. Okay, great, yep, and then it never ends up happening. And they'll help me back up like a month or two later, and they'll be like, okay, I'm ready to edit my reel. I'm like, you lost me, I'm done. And by the way, this goes beyond even just favors. It's surprising, I've seen it on my end, but as well as other people, like freelancers, right? I'll give you an example. There's a graphic artist that I know and work with. Her name is Armani. She's fantastic. And, whenever I can, I recommend her to people, right? And she's fantastic at what she does, very professional and so forth. But she's also very upfront. And so there was a project that, someone needed. And so I recommended that person. I recommended that person to Armani. And the thing of it was that, hey, okay, it seemed like it was an urgent thing. So for the person, so Armani was like, okay, cool. And then, she went through the material and did what she needed to do to meet those deadlines. But then the original person whose project it wasn't meeting their side of it, meaning checking the work and so forth, or providing what, Armani needed. And then, essentially a month goes by, 2 months goes by, and, a third month goes by, and now that original person is finally ready to get back into it, and they're emailing Armani and being like, hey, I'm ready to do it. And it's like, okay, cool. She's someone that's amazing, but that's a lot to ask, because now essentially she's got to open up a project that's, months old. And this happens to creatives quite often, in that sense where people will email, us as freelancers when they're ready. And so I think people underestimate the sort of responsibilities they have as the client, right? Whenever I hire somebody to create something for me, I understand that they need my feedback in order to continue forth. Or if it's, let's say, a pitch document, well, they're going to need the text that needs to go in that pitch document, right? Because without it, they can't make it. And so, it's a two-way street sort of thing, and yet it's mind-boggling how much people don't adhere to that. And then they're sort of surprised when months go by and now they're ready to do their part, but it's like, whoa. You're asking a lot. Like, freelancers, we can't just put our lives on hold for you. And yeah, I mean, it's, if anything, and I didn't even intend to like go in this way. It really just did start off as the simple advice of when someone, accepts a favor for you, respect their time. Like that was the core of the message. But then, I don't know, and just in my mind, all of a sudden it all clicked in this way to be able to extract in all the different ways. And so I think from a freelance perspective, we need to communicate that to people like, hey, hey, this project, you want to get it in 2 weeks? Great. I will prioritize your project. And during these 2 weeks, here's what I will be doing. Likewise, here's my expectation for you. And then, if it goes over into, the third week, okay, fine, we'll make it work. But then also kind of communicating that if they don't meet their sort of responsibilities, that then, it's going to delay the project and so forth. And then it's going to get deprioritized because of other work. And then, they're just going to have to be okay with that, and that their negligence cannot become your emergency. And then from the client side, just, understand that if you're not responsive and if you're not adhering to what they're telling you as far as timelines and deadlines, then yeah, that's on you. And by the way, I know, I understand that whenever, like, if I miss something, like there have been times when, I just can't respond, but sometimes I'll make that my response, like, hey, I'm really swamped this week. I can't get back to you. Don't worry. I understand that messes up our timeline. So, next time, as you're free, let's work on it, whatever. And, understanding that, like, yeah, now it's my fault and it's going to be delayed and it's going to be on their time, sort of thing at that point. So yeah, just something to consider for both sides, really. But as always, if you have any questions or thoughts of your own, please comment down below or hit me up on social media at Svitek. Would love to hear your thoughts. Maybe there's some nightmare stories as freelancers we can share and just kind of laugh about, and so forth. Yeah. And, I used Armani as an example, and I use her name specifically because I love to shout out people that I know that are great. And what's fantastic about her, even if, when someone does sort of on the client side miss these sort of deadlines, she's still always very willing and upfront to try to make it work and let you know and communicate. That's what I love about her. So I wasn't throwing her under the bus or trying to throw anyone under the bus. I was instead, just trying to highlight what an amazing person she is. All right. So yeah, there's that. And if you appreciate what I do and think you could benefit from more direct interaction, well, then of course there is my coaching that is available to you, that is linked to down in the description box. Likewise, maybe, you just want to kind of dip your toes in a little bit and see what it's all about as far as, working with me. Well, that's what my Patreon page is for. Patreon.com/PhilSvitek. There's various tiers there. And, we can communicate that way. You can see how I can help you and be in a benefit. So yeah, that is available to you. And likewise, I kind of have hinted at my art, right? Books, movies, merchandise, and so forth. And that is all available to you in the description box as well. And, if you're curious, that's great. All in all, it helps support this because by that stuff being essentially self-sustaining, it's symbiotic because, that means I get to create more of that stuff and therefore learn and share those lessons here with you freely, right? That's how all this operates in a sense. And, I do that so that way it helps make your creative journey at least a little bit easier. Anyway, I've yapped enough for today. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and I hope to see you next time.